Hello everyone and welcome to Malaysia, which plays host to round 16 of this AOR Season 12 Championship. My name is Shane and joining me back in the commentary box once again is Dan.
Yeah, thank you Shane, and I do feel like I'm repeating myself here, but the championship took another shocking twist last time out in Singapore, with Alex reducing Nervo's gap in the title race down to 8 points. A remarkable effort from the Red Bull driver, considering Nervo had a 58-point lead only 2 rounds ago. The Sepang International Circuit pushes the tide to the limit, and also provides great opportunities for lots of overtaking. But before all that, it's time for the qualifying report.
Here we are then at the Sepang International Circuit for the qualifying comparison in the AOR PS4 League, the Malaysian Grand Prix. And this time we've got the onboard views of GR Demon in the Force India on the left and Jamie 995 coming in as a reserve in the Mercedes. Wet intermediate tyre conditions for this qualifying, as you can see, which is going to make it trickier than usual for these drivers to find the grip they need to get to their car through the first few corners here. Dropping downhill, trying to spot the apex for the second corner. Demon taking it slightly tighter than Jamie and is slightly up compared to him on this lap so far, as they now go up the hill into another hard braking zone for turn 4, braking a lot earlier in the wet conditions of course than I would have needed to in the dry, and it looks like a nice smooth exit there for Demon, whereas Jamie was working the wheel a little bit more, and as a result Demon is still slightly ahead out of these two so far. Now they'll go into turn 5, very high speed and leading straight into turn 6, long right-hander. Can be easy to understeer wide on this corner, but none of these drivers having that problem whatsoever, as they now spot the turning point for the double apex turn 7 and 8, avoiding the exit curb now to keep the car stable, going down the hill into the difficult hairpin of turn number 9. Clear advantage now for Demon as we approach this corner. Can they spot the apex? Getting the car turned in nicely. Demon slightly off it. Jamie hits the curb very nicely indeed. As they go back up the hill very hard to control the traction out of here, especially in the wet. And then a sort of half-blind medium speed right-hander of turn 11. No notable problems through there either for these guys. And then turn 12, which in the dry is easily flat, but the major lifting required in these conditions. As they sweep through turn 13 and into the awkward braking zone for the penultimate corner, and it's all about getting a good exit out of here as you're getting onto one of the longest straights on the circuit. Demon having to navigate a slow car there, but it didn't get in his way whatsoever, so that's all good. And then they have a little bit of time to think before hopefully nailing the braking point for the final corner. Trying to hug that inside curb, but Demon again slightly off it, and that has lost him a bit of time here in the final part of the lap compared to Jamie. But still, it is Demon who's going to come across the line first out of these two to take 3rd place on the grid with the 147.3. Jamie only 1/10 behind him.
So in a rather wet Sepang, it was Jim Nervo trying to take his 9th pole position of the season, and it was advantage to him in the championship race as his championship challenger Alex could only qualify 19th. Areti was P2 and Demon taking a very solid P3 with Jamie 995 lining up on the 2nd row with him. Alexukr, another reserve, showing a very good qualifying in 5th with BMU riding out the 3rd row. Big Shot and Ali were 7th and 8th with NBA Ruben and Clarkey riding out the top 10. Jake was 11th and RBOS 12th with Dan and Vitold also on the 7th row. Numa and Theo will be just behind them with Big C and Jonas in 17th and 18th, with Alex the big shocking qualifying only being able to manage 19th, and this puts him at a massive disadvantage heading into the race. Sean and X-Men Madness round out the grid for Malaysia, and now it's time for the race.
It's race time here in a very sunny Malaysia. We've got a very mussed up order on the grid and everyone's got a free tyre choice thanks to a wet quali, so we could see a lot of different strategies throughout the field today, Dan.
Yeah, it's very different to yesterday. Yesterday it was chucking it down with rain from the glorious sun. Is greeting us in Sepang today, and as he said, everyone does have free choice of tyres, so I wonder what they're all going to go for. I think if you start on the medium or hards, then the one stop is definitely possible, but I'd be interested to see whether some guys at the front of the field have chosen the softs. But in the race for the championship, Alex is on the back foot, qualifying down in P19, and Nervo has got pole. This is surely a massive race for the championship. How do you see this one playing out, Shane?
Yeah, this is everything is in Nervo's favour at the moment, and the hards are going to be the mandatory tyre for this race, so everyone's going to stick on a set of hards at some point, and obviously thanks to the wet weather in qualifying, you can actually start on the hards and get away with it. The hards have been spoken to be a very nice tyre around this track, as they can last a long time without really dropping off the pace. So we'll have to see if that is indeed true through the rest of this race, as NBA Ruben gets very close to the back of Ali K into turn number 7 on the formation lap. And we've got a very good lineup of reserves here this afternoon, with Super Scrub in 4th and Jamie 995 here in 9th place. Sadly got a grid penalty for hitting Theo in qualifying, as the track conditions changed throughout that quali session. It started dry and then it started raining very quickly, and by the end of their out laps it was too wet for the dry tyres, so they had to stick on a set of intermediates, and during that process Jamie 905 hit the back of Theo and got a 5th-place grid job, and will start 9th, but is also starting on the hard tyres. Now we're looking at Dan the Snake in the Force India. His teammate doing a stellar job in qualifying in 3rd place, an outstanding job for him. As we come through the final couple of meters of this formation lap, there's Alex down in 19th place. So very bad qualifying from his point of view, not what he needed after taking 50 points out of his rival Nervo Tank in the last 2 races. But we've got 28 laps ahead of us, ready to be waiting, and now here they are, the 5 red lights coming on. Lights out, away we go for the Malaysian Grand Prix. Nervo's got off the line pretty well, and Aresi now trying to get alongside him to try and fend off the rest of the cars down into turn 1. Super Scrub's got an amazing start around the outside of Demon and Aresi, and is already up to P2. Can he maintain it in towards turn 2? No, Aresi's come back around the outside, and Super Scrub's at least gained a place. Loses the back end on the exit of turn 2, and that's allowed Demon back up into 3rd. Big Shot's tapped him, almost smashes into the barrier. Bimu's gone into the gravel trap somehow, and that has resulted in a spin. Ali K smashing into the back of Big Shot, and somehow Big Shot doesn't spin out of that, but that's left Ali K with a big load of front wing damage. He's lost his front left end plate, and that's kind of a messy start at the kind of middle of the top 10 there, Dan.
Yeah, unfortunate incident for Bimu and Ali K, but GR Demon still in P4. Chooses to start on the hard tyres. I think he was the highest up runner that chose to start on the orange wall tyre. Everyone else electing for softs around him, and this means he's been a sitting duck round at the start of this race, obviously. And we've got NBA Ruben just behind him on the medium compound tyre. Not many people choosing that tyre, but it does mean he will be able to one stop, as he'll be able to go onto the hard tyre around about lap 12. But now he's trying to find a way past the Force India. Won't be doing it into this corner. It's very difficult, and now you're breaking it into that corner. But back up at the front, and Nervo has got already a sizable, well, not a sizable lead, around about 1 second. But him and Aresi have pulled away from the pack nicely, and this is just what they need to make their strategy work, considering they will be forced to 2-stop here today.
Yeah, it looks like Super Scrub and Big Shot are battling away for 3rd place at the moment, as Nervo sets the fastest lap of the race. Big Shot now has to defend against Super Scrub, who's having a look around the outside now in towards turn 1, and is very late on the brakes, trying to pull the same move he did on the first lap, and this time he's got the inside for turn 2, and now Big Shot has to try and fend him off around the outside, and Super Scrub spun, and somehow, how has he managed that? Big Shot manages to escape it just about, although he has got a hefty amount of front wing damage to his front left end plate. I don't know how Super Scrub just came towards there. I don't know if that was lag, but hopefully we'll get a replay of that. And now he has dropped quite a bit off the back of the Ferrari of Big Shot. Still in 4th place at the moment, as NBA Ruben has got past GR Demon as well.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's going to force Big Shot to pit, because you need a lot of, well, you need that front end dependency is big around here, especially through these high speed corners, as Super Scrub is already caught back up to the Ferrari, and now NBA Ruben's got into the back of Renault. Everyone just willing to pick up front wing damage at the start of this race. Not ideal, and this could force a lot of early pit stops. But on board with the Renault, God knows how that incident occurred, but as Shane said, we'll hopefully get an incident maybe from NBA Ruben or GR Demon, who hopefully got a better perspective of that. But through the penultimate corner, now on board with Jake. He's up in P7, a great start for the Toro Rosso driver. Hasn't scored many points this season, but now he's getting overtaken by the Mercedes of Jamie 995 as we head towards the final corner. Jake will have the inside line, but Jamie's so far ahead that I think we just have to concede that position and settle into P8. But it's a decent start for the Toro Rosso driver.
Yeah, up from well, up to 8th now from 11th place on the grid, and is now in the slipstream of the Mercedes. Now down into turn 1, has a look around the outside, but Gemini 905 covers it off very well. Runs a little bit deep into turn 1 though, but Jake doesn't go back up the inside. Gets a nice little cutback on the exit. Will he get enough purchase out of turn 2 to try and have a run up towards turn 4? As we now look towards the battle back at 3rd place. These guys are already 5-6 seconds off the lead then. So that's I think that's just at lap 3, at the start of lap 3 as well. So that's worked out very well for Nervo and Aresi as they eke out their lead at the start of this race. And NBA Rubin running wide quite a lot through turn 6 as he did on the previous lap. So it looks like NBA's struggling with a bit of understeer, and especially with that front wing damage that he collected on the last lap as well, he will be getting a lot of understeer in at that Sauber, but he's doing a great job at the moment in 5th place, now on board with GR Demon, who is down to 6th from his 3rd place grid slot, and looking to try and get back past that Sauber.
Yeah, and there'll be no opportunity once again to this penultimate corner bit. We are on lap 3 now, so DRS, as I say, that actually is completely proved me wrong on the inside. It's a lovely move, as I was saying. You're probably not expecting a move into that corner. That probably caught the Sauber driver off guard. I can't work out whether he got DRS. I think they've actually both got it because of the Renault ahead of them. So we're side by side into the final corner, but GR Demon seems to have that position as we on board with RBOS. He's up the inside now of Jake as well, who seems to be dropping like a stone at the start of this race. As we've also got the manner of Beacott, who chose to start on the soft compound tyre. An interesting decision, considering he was so far down the field. But as we're heading towards turn 1, Jake's got the slipstream and DRS on RBOS. Beacott's up the inside of the Toro Rosso driver, gets it stopped lovely though, and now he's slightly side by side with RBOS, but I think that he's in up into P9 as we come back to the battle for P5, and NBA Rubin is stuck with the Force India very nicely, and we've got the Mercedes of Germany 995 just behind as well. Can't work out what's going on here, but it looks like the Mercedes side driver is up the inside, but I think the Sauber driver was able to hold it round the outside due to better traction.
Yeah, so German 905 is getting on with it, trying to recover the places that he lost with that 5-place grid penalty. I think he's up the inside. No, he's not quite up the inside of the Sauber just yet, as Sean has retired from the session for a reason that we are currently unaware of. So yeah, Jake dropping down back down to 10th place, unfortunately for him. But yeah, very interesting decision by Beacott to start on the soft tyres, as he said. Damien up the inside, then a side by side, and now they've actually banged wheels, and that's put NBA Rubin deep in the gravel trap. Gets back out of it, but that's kind of ruined his afternoon in terms of position. He already was compromised with that front wing damage, as now he's got another car on his inside. That's Alex, who is now up to 14th at the moment, and now I think this is Gemini 995 slowing down. I think he's letting back through, so that's very good to see from it's very good sportsmanship there from the Mercedes, and he has actually lost the position to Alex in doing that, but yeah, very good sportsmanship from the Mercedes reserve driver, because obviously he is a reserve and doesn't really want to be have any bad blood at the moment, as NBA Rubin's trying to get that 11th place back, as they actually bang wheels to 2 Saubers, and that's allowed Alex to take the pair of them. So now Alex is up to 11th, so he's not had a bad first couple of laps in this race, as now the 2 Saubers are still going side by side on the run up towards turn 4. Jonas is on the hard tyres, so NBA Rubin's got the better tyre grip available to him at the moment, but obviously with that front wing damage, I'd say they're fairly even at the moment. And now on board back with Aresi, who's holding on to Nervo very well indeed at the moment.
Yeah, and we've obviously known throughout the season that Aresi has got very good pace, but Nervo, once again to the lead, this seems to be where he's at his best. He seems, once he's got a gap, he just seems to be able to extend and extend, and it's very hard to catch up to him. But Aresi doing a very good job keeping him on his toes, as you can see in the bottom right corner there. He has got DRS, so that's probably helping the Ferrari driver keep up with the Renault. But as we come towards the end of lap 5, I wonder when these guys are going to pitch in. I suspect around about lap 7, something like that. They'll be going then maybe to a set of mediums or hard compound tyres as they come round the final corner towards the start of lap 6 here. As I think we've got some movement further behind as Super Scrub has overtaken Big Shot. But on the battle for the lead here, and Aresi seems to be closing up to the Renault, and maybe looking a move up the inside of turn 1 and backs out of that. and it looks like the Ferrari driver is going to stay behind the Renault for the time being, but it does appear that Aresi is intent on getting this lead at some point.
Yeah, we saw in the background there, Aresi's teammate Big Shot now on board with the Ferrari in the pit lane, getting a front wing change, and he's going on to his set of hards. Obviously decided that you have to use at this stage. NBA Rubin's pitted as well, so he's had enough of that front wing damage as well. So now back on board with Aresi hunting down Nervotank, and the gap that these two have got over third place, if you just look on the map, is quite something. That must be, what, 8 seconds at least?
Yeah, it must be.
And now then up towards the into the last sector we go. Aresi getting, well, missing the apex of that corner slightly, but getting well into a very good position to try and overtake the race leader and current championship leader Nervotank in the Renault as we enter the second to last corner. He's going to get DRS once again. Is he close enough this time around to try and overtake the Renault? There's only one DRS detection point at this track, and that's through turn 13 into the second to last corner at turn 14. The one that used to be at this corner, at the last corner, has been removed for this season, unfortunately. But now Aresi with that DRS flat wide open towards turn 1, and is going to have a look up the inside of Nervo. Does he go for a late braking move? He does slightly, and Nervo kind of shuts the door on him, and that's a statement of intent for the Renault driver towards the Ferrari to say you are not going to get this position easily, as Super Scrub, as we can see on the timing on the left hand side, is in the pits.
Yep, so I think, are these the last of the two to make a pit? So actually B-Cot in P5 has also started on the soft compound tyre, so these drivers stretching out these softs quite far. I'd just be wondering what their strategy is from here. Demon just behind, I think, and RBOS both on the hard compound tyre. Jake in P6 looking very good at this point in the race, but Aresi, yeah, he's intent on getting this lead from the Renault driver, but I wonder, like, once he gets into the lead, will he be able to pull away? Because I think from what we've seen so far that the DRS and slipstream is definitely helping him keep up with the Renault driver as they go up that very difficult traction zone uphill in towards this blind right-hander, and then you sort of head downhill once again through this sweeping left-hander, and then coming into one of the hardest corners that I think in the entire Formula 1 calendar. You're sort of braking blind, and you just got to turn it in and just sort of hope you hit the apex. Much easier for Aresi, I have to say, because he's got the sort of Renault driver of Nervotank as sort of like a guide as to where to brake. And as we can see there on the right hand side, Aresi's tyre wear at 76%. So surely he's got to be going to the pits this lap. That is almost like he was going for a move. Maybe he thought that both of them were pitting. Slightly surprised that Nervo had the tyre wear to carry on for another lap, but the Ferrari driver does indeed pit and will surely now get the undercut on the Renault driver and could take the lead of this race.
Yeah, I think
obviously.
Yeah, I think Aresi, with his driving style, you can tell he kind of more chucks the car in, and the back end kind of just drifts towards the apex. So I think he kind of uses his rear tyres much more than a lot of the other drivers, as B-Colt and Theo are in the pits as well. So that's not going to work out well for the two Manners, as they're going to have to stack, as Aresi now comes out battling a McLaren, and I think that's the McLaren of Clarkey fighting with, and now on the exit, and Aresi has got that position very easily actually on the exit of turn 2, as this is now a replay of the start.
Yep, on board with number in P15 then. To get a decent start, actually jumps B-Cole off the start and then gets past Dan as well. On turn 1, Clark, he's got a poor start, I don't know where he started, as he goes for a very ambitious move up the inside, gets it stopped though, lovely for turn 1. It's going to be side by side, I think that's the hat of RBOS, but then holds it round the outside. I can't actually work out who that is. That might actually be the force injury of Dan actually up the inside of him. And he makes his way up into P12, so very good start from the Williams driver. Then we just see BMU on the side there in his Mercedes. We haven't really seen what's happened there. And then Ali K just steaming into the back of someone as go pretty wide through turn 4, and then they get dragged into the wall. That is really, really unfortunate for both of them. There's always a risk going 3 wide on this game, and this is on board Jamie995. Looks up the inside of this corner, and then I think just misjudges his braking, and then goes in a bit deep. Quite hard to tell, just the weird contact model in this game has sort of forced them both off the track there. And what on? Oh my God! Gosh alive! So that's Aresi and Nerva having a bit of lag there. I'm surprised Aresi genuinely his car didn't break there.
Yeah.
Because he is super fortunate to still be in this race, as Nerva tank has come out of the pits in a whole heap of traffic next to one of the Mercedes, side by side. And wouldn't we be able to get past them? It's the run up towards turn 4. He's got the inside line, so surely we'll get this move done. But if he doesn't get through this traffic quickly, this could give a big advantage to those guys that are on the one stop.
Yeah, but critically, Nervo as well is ahead of Aresi. Aresi's right at the back of this queue, and Nervo's kind of in the middle of it or towards the front of it, and now he's already up the inside of the Sauber of Jonas, and they're going side by side through turn 7 and 8. That's not really a corner that you go side by side. Jamie 9 and 5 is now trying to take the opportunity on Jonas as Nervo's completed that move. Jamie up the inside then and makes a very sweet move on the Sauber, but Jonas now comes back up through turn 10 and he's going to have the inside for 11, and Jonas then maintaining that position for now. Jamie's going to have the run, and Mayhem Madness has fallen off the track somewhere in all of that and let Nervo through, but now Aresi's got a really great view of the party that's going on ahead of him at the moment, as Jamie now has finally completed that move. But once again, Jonas going for the switchback, and now coming back at the Mercedes down in towards the last corner. And can Jamie hold him off this time around? Yes, he does. That's actually allowed Beamy to go up the inside of Jonas as well. And now, so that's Jamie up into 8th, and his well, not really his teammate, but the guy who's in the same car as him is now up the inside of Jonas. Jonas trying to fend off both Mercedes and Aresi as well, and Jonas loses out to Bemu and is pretty soon going to lose out to Aresi, who's going to have a lot more grip available to him, and Aresi's losing out big time relative to Nervo in all of this.
Yeah, it has to be said, because Nervo, meanwhile, while they're doing all that battling, Nervo's able to catch back up to Alex, who I think Alex will be doing the one stop. We've known throughout this season that he's got very good tyre wear, so he should be going to the mediums at some point during this race. But if Nervo catches him, and when they've both still got one stop to make, that is hugely demoralising for Alex, because it just means that Nervo has such an advantage heading to the latter stages of this race. But nevertheless, Alex is carving his way through the field. It has to be said, his race pace, as usual, is very strong. If his pace in the wet is pretty diabolical. And heading into the penultimate corner, and he's caught up to Big C, who started on the medium compound time. Jake's still in P3, doing an incredible job. We haven't really seen this sort of pace from him so far this season, but yeah, on lap 10, still looking good for some solid points as we head into the final corner, as Alex takes quite a wide line, trying to get some sort of cutback on the Williams driver, who went in quite deep it seems, and now with DRS, surely this gives an opportunity for the Red Bull driver to get past into turn 1. I think they're going to be side by side, but Alex, surely with the inside line and better grip at this stage, will get that move done, and that is the Red Bull driver up into P4.
Yeah, Big C didn't really put up any fight relative to the Red Bull flying past at the moment, and now he's got Jake in front of him, who I believe this is one of his favourite tracks, which is why he's looking stronger here than he has around other tracks in this stage in the season. GR Demon then currently leading this race, which is something I don't believe he's done so far this season, so he can take that pride, if you will. And now, but he's got to look at RBOS, who is right behind him at the moment. Kind of, they're on the same strategy at the moment in terms of tyre, but they're still only on lap 11, so no real idea when these guys are going to pit. If they're doing a one stop, they're probably looking at about lap 15, lap 16, if they are going to do the one stop strategy. That is obviously if they have a set of mediums, because the way this game works, you can select how many tyres or how many sets of tyres you can bring, and if you go for the softer option around this track, you're going to have 4 sets of softs and 2 hards, so they're not going to have a set of mediums available, and it doesn't look like GR Demon is one of those people who has a set of mediums to go on to, because he's coming straight into pits on lap 11, so that's a very early stop for someone who's on hards and is going onto the soft tyre.
Yeah, surely from here you'd be looking at 2 sets of soft tyres. We still early in the race, Nervo was able to do 8 laps, and with a lighter fuel load, that should mean the Force India will be able to go onto another set of softs at the end of this race. And on board with Alexukr, who's worked his way up into P5, as we've got some pit stops happening. As I don't know if that's yeah, it must be right. As we've got Alex up in P3 at this stage, who. And now we're going to see a replay, and this is on board with Clark. So now we're going back to lap 1 here, and Clark gets a bit of oversteer, and that sort of pinches the 3 wide movement. Clarky probably didn't know there were 3 wide, and then they would just both end up in the wall, and that's pretty much ruined both of their races. As we are now cutting back to Alex, who's still in P3 and is catching up to the back of the Toro Rosso of Jake, who is probably on the same strategy as him, actually, if Jake is doing the one-stop. RBOS are looking very good out front if he is able to carry out that one-stop strategy.
Yeah, because obviously Super Scrub is, not Super Scrub, sorry, he has just retired from the session for, again, a reason that we don't know yet. RBOS currently in the lead by quite a big gap, as we can see there from that great camera angle. Actually, we can see how far behind Jake and Alex are at the moment. So thanks to that, well, thanks purely to RBS's qualifying performance, he has got a gap which might actually help him if he does indeed do the one-stop strategy. There is Nervo then, the first of the guys who is doing a 2-stop from starting on softs, obviously, and now then as we scroll back through the order, there's B Colt in 11th place. Now looking at Big C, who's gone into a set of hards from the medium, so he put it on the last lap as well, so he's going to try to go to the end. This is now Ali K going into the pits. Quickly scrolling through the order, there's Noma in 18th and Daniel Snake, who's in Stone Dead last in 19th, so don't know what's happened to him throughout this race. But anyway, back with the battle for P2 then. Alex right on Jake now, and I don't think there'll be any real team orders here, as well, this is AOR, frankly, and Jake won't want to let Alex through, ideally, I would imagine, as Jake has got some really strong pace, as we've said earlier on in this race, and looking good for a strong result here if he can keep that pace up. And Alex, we know that he's usually good on pace and good on tyres, so if he can make his way past Jake very quickly and start pulling a gap to Nervo, which is easier said than done, then he's looking pretty good for, well, at least a podium result and possibly the win. But obviously it depends how quickly that Nervo catches up to him, as we now go into the last corner, and Jake has disappeared, so he has gone into the pit lane, and so has RBOS, as we can see from that graphic. So these guys not doing the one-stop strategy, and they're not going to get 14 laps out of a set of mediums, so they are presumably going to go onto the softs.
Yeah, interesting strategy. I thought more people would be trying to attempt the one-stop, but maybe tyre wear is higher than expected for a lot of these drivers, and they're being forced to use the 2-stop strategy as they're now going onto a set of softs. It's not worked out too great for RBOS, considering that GR Demon, who pitted a couple of laps earlier, went onto a set of softs and has got a good undercut on him. And I think from what I can tell, they're both going to be on the same strategy. So that's going to be quite difficult for the Haas driver to recover, but we'll see how it fares later on in this race on board with Clarky, who obviously had that incident on lap 1. A reasonable recovery drive, considering he's now in P4. But as you said earlier, Shane, I think there is still a massive advantage to even Nervo and Aresi. Aresi has actually caught up to the top 2 as well. But I think Nervo and Aresi will be able to go onto a set of soft tyres at the end of the race, whereas Alex will be forced to go onto a set of mediums.
Very good point.
You can just see how much more grip Nervo's got at this stage in the race, and it's easily catching up to the Red Bull driver. So I'd suspect that the best Alex can hope for is currently P3.
Yeah, it's quite frankly miles ahead of everyone else, as as we saw early on in the race, Nervo and Aresi just romped away at the start of this race and built up like a 10-second lead over everyone else. So Alex looking good for a definite podium at the moment, and Clarky is kind of out of sorts really, because he's kind of in there in 4th place at the moment, but he's behind 2 of the people that have already pitted, and he's got a lot. He's got a tough ass to try and fend off as Nervo's trying to go around the outside now. Turn 1 for the lead. Alex defending on the inside. Nervo's going to have the inside for turn 2 though, and he's gone clean around the outside of him. So that's Nervo up into the lead. Then the 2 championship contenders swapping positions for the lead here in Malaysia, and that's kind of a big blow to Alex's hope of trying to win this race. And he's got to defend much harder than that if he wants to win this championship and indeed this race. And it'll be interesting to see if Alex can hold on to Nervo with the slipstream and DRS, but obviously he's got a lot less grip available to him at the moment as the tyre wears down, and obviously the pure freshness. Nervo's got like 8 laps fresher tyres than the Red Bull at the moment, as Nervo begins to stretch his legs out at the front.
Yeah, I think Nervo will now just be putting it up into Rich and just trying to set in some good laps. As we're on board with Aresi, so he's 2.6 seconds behind Alex, so that's a gap he can close very easily within a couple of laps. And Alex is, well, only hope now of sort of sticking with these top 2 is by pitting around about now for the mediums and just hoping to get some sort of undercut. But obviously if he pits now, he could emerge in some sort of traffic which could really harm his chances of getting a good result today, as we've got GR Demon catching up to the back of Clarky. So it's fair to say that Force Injury Drive is looking pretty good, but I think that's the hazard of RBOS just behind him. I think he's got 2 lap fresher tyres, so it could be an interesting battle between those 2 in the latter stages of this race as we go round the final corner. And I think that's a Force India Drive up into P4, as long as he can hold off Clarky down into turn 1 with the DRS. He's surely able to do that as RBOS sets the fastest lap of this race.
Yeah, just confirming what we said then about RBOS closing up onto these guys. He's the quickest man out there on the track at the moment, but is now currently being held up by Clarky, so that once again works back into GR Demon's favour of being able to pull away now on the run up towards turn 4. And hopefully we switch back to RBOS and Clarky as we do now. So RBOS on the soft tyres at the moment, as Dan has just said, 2 laps fresher than those of GR Demon. So he's going to be looking in a good position towards the end of this stint, as he's having a look up the inside of turn 7, which as we said earlier in the race is not really a massive overtaking spot. You really have to be along quite far alongside to try and go up the inside. He's now looking to try and go around the outside of turn 9 at the hairpin, and Clarky defends that one for now. So yeah, as I said earlier, Clarky kind of out of sync at the moment in this race in terms of strategy, and still on those hard tyres that he started with, but he is definitely going for a 1-stop. So a points finish is definitely recoverable for him, as RBOS sails up the inside into the second to last corner and gets it stopped very well indeed, but Clarky's going to have the better run out of the corner, and well, I think RBOS actually with the soft tyre, with the amount of grip that he's got on those softs, actually manages to get a better run, and he's got the DRS as well to pull away down the straight, as Big Shot makes a move on Jonas, who puts up no real fight and actually goes into the pit lane. So that is Big Shot up into 7th place, and Jonas and Clarky both into the pits for presumably a set of mediums.
Yeah, and it's not worked out too badly for Clarky. He was in that roundabout P4, P5, P6 when he came into the pit lane, and obviously I think everyone else in the race still has one more pit stop to make, as he comes into the pits and does indeed go onto that medium compound tyre. So that should easily take him to the end of the race, considering he did 16 laps on a set of hard. So after a very unfortunate lap on into the McLaren driver, looks to be recovering into some solid points, as we're now on back with Aresi, as he has caught up to the Red Bull of Alex. But I have to say, Alex is doing an incredible job at this stage of the race. 17 lap old hard tyres. No one else has been able to take him that long, and he's still got a pretty decent pace. Yeah,
as he said, he's kind of losing out at the moment, not going for an undercut, but he's definitely playing it safe in going onto the mediums. I think the mediums will easily do 11 laps, although we saw that GR Demon could barely manage 11 laps on a set of hards. So well, it is definitely going to be easier on the wheel users around this track, and now Aresi deciding which way to try and pass Alex, and Alex putting up no real fight against the Ferrari driver, and he actually goes clean around the outside into the pits. So that is Aresi up into 2nd place. Alex coming into the pit lane now for a set of mediums, as we can see on the bottom right. And he is going for that one-stop strategy then, and GR Demon into the pits as well, interestingly. So he is coming very early once again from those softs. So he only got like 6 laps out of those softs. So he must really be struggling for tyre wear. What's he going to go on to? Another set of hards. So wow, his tyre wear has not been good if he's genuinely struggling. So where's Alex going to file out? He's going to file out behind Big C in 9th place. So now as they go through turn 2, now looking at Bicol up in 5th place. So he's had a very quiet race, looking to score points for the first time in a long time. I can't actually remember the last time he scored any points.
Russia, is it?
Yeah, I think you're spot on that one. So round 4 it was the last time that Bicol scored points, and it's currently round 16, so that's how long it's been. And obviously I'm hoping to try and finish this race, as he's not done that since, I'd say, around Baku, Austria time. So yeah, and Alex then already trying to look up the inside of Big C and get past him as soon as possible. Obviously it's critical for Alex to try and get past these guys who are on the hard, so he can try and get himself back in the battle for either the first or second. I think Nervo's a little bit too much ahead to try and beat him this afternoon, but Aresi is still beatable as Big C goes wandering off the racetrack at the second to last corner, and Alex actually makes easy work of it.
Yeah, I was going to say this is going to get very bad for Alex if he's not able to find a way past quickly, but Big C then just gave a rather nice, well, I wouldn't say Christmas present because we're currently in March, but now as we go round the final corner, Alex will once again get DRS, so we'll sort of negate quite a lot of the time that he lost being stuck behind Big C in the first and second sector. But yeah, it wasn't great for him. He would have ideally wanted a good lap on his medium tyres, but thankfully for him, it didn't appear that either Nervo or Aresi pitted on that lap. I suspect they were maybe coming at the end of lap 20. I think Nervo did 8 laps at the start of the race on the set of softs, so probably will be doing the same again at the end of the race. But Big C currently in 9th, obviously after a great result in Singapore, where he was able to come home in P2. And on board with GR Demon, and a very bizarre pit strategy from him, going on to another set of hards. But yeah, I have to say it's not worked out too badly for him. He's currently in P10, and a lot of guys ahead of him still have to make another pit stop. Barring Alex, I think everyone else still has to make another pit stop, so he could be still looking good for some solid points with Force India. Yeah,
that's. I don't think his teammate is faring too well though in this race after what, as we've said earlier, some kind of accident that we haven't seen from his point of view. And now back at the front then, concentrating on Nervo. When is he going to pit for the final time? Both he and Aresi stay out for another lap, so we think they're probably going to go on to another set of soft tyres, and RBS continuing on his set of soft tyres that he's got, and is currently in 3rd place, doing a great job for him and Haas at the moment. And now into the last corner then goes Gemini 5 right on the back of Jake, and Jake on those medium tyres has got a really pace disadvantage compared to the Mercedes behind him. And is Jeremy going to have a look up the inside? No, he doesn't. Sticks in behind for now as Big Shot is in the pit lane, and Gemini 5 then a reserve driver who's got very good pace and very good tyre wear as well, considering he is on a pad, one of the best that we've seen on tyre wear at the moment in this race. But now down in towards turn 4 then, not quite close enough for a move onto Jake at the moment, and Jake still doing a good job in 5th place, and but obviously he's going to have to pit again after pitting very early in this race, and he's going to go onto a set of softs as well. So lots of different strategies left to play out in this race, as there's 8 laps to go at the end of this one.
Yep, and I think this race is all going to start to unfold in these last 8 laps, because we've got Alex. Obviously, I think this could be the only one who's been able to do the one stop, unless there's someone further down the field who's been able to do it. But it appears to be only him, as we've got an Aresi now coming into the pit lane on lap 20. Nervo has chosen to stay out again. Interesting call, unless he's thinking he's going to go to the end. That's a bizarre pit strategy from him, as he slows down for the pit box.
What?
And for some reason has got a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
Okay,
Well, I've got no idea what's happened there. I'm guessing that's some sort of glitch or bug from Codemasters, because he's got a drive-through penalty for slowing down quite a lot for the pit lane. Really don't understand that. But back to the live footage, and we've got Jamie attacking Jake once again, but simply isn't able to get past the Toro Rosso driver, as we've got a Resi coming out very close to Alex, as he's sort of settled in between that battle for P3 actually, is it now, for between Jake and Jamie, even though they've got another pit stop to make. But yeah, Resi, well, I can't imagine what he's feeling right now, because I'm confused. He must be just angry and annoyed because he's done absolutely nothing wrong and has surely been robbed of a great result here. But nevertheless, he's practically gifted the win to Nervo, because Alex has emerged out behind him, and Nervo was 2 or 3 seconds further up the road compared to the Ferrari driver. But Aresti now trying to find a way past the Toro Rosso driver into the hairpin, tries to go round the outside, and Jamie doesn't put much defence towards Alex, probably realising that he's got a lot less grip at this stage of the race. As we come into this very difficult corner, Jake's ran wide slightly, and it appears that Aresti has got into P3, but I wonder when he's going to have to serve his drive-through penalty, because he's only got 3 laps to do it, and he'll surely just want to put in some good laps, try and break away from this train, and then come into the pit lane for a drive-through that he definitely does not deserve. But in towards the final corner, Jake up into Rich. I wonder if he's going to pit this lap as well. Surely he will, if he's going to make another pit stop onto a set of softs, and indeed he does. So the Toro Rosso driver is in, and I think also Jamie may have pit as well. Yeah, we have seen that in the graphic on the side there. So both of them into the pit lane, as RBOS, who was running very well up in P2, has come in for another set of soft tyres and will surely be hunting down now GR Demon, who is on a much slower compound, and it's really not been a very good strategy from him today.
Here we go then, a replay of Aresi slowing down. He's gone in at 50 kilometers an hour, and the speed limit is 80. So I don't know why on earth he's got a drive-through there, and Nervo is under investigation for speeding in the pit lane as well. So yeah, that's quite frankly appalling from Codemasters that that kind of glitch is in the game, and very, very disappointing from for Aresi as well, who was doing a great race. So yeah, through no fault of his own, he's got a drive-through, which he will have to serve, I think, within the next lap or two. But Nervo is in the same situation then, under investigation for speeding in the pit lane. I don't know if that was a game glitch yourself, or whether he was just genuinely overspeeding in the pit lane himself. And Alex has emerged in P3 out of all of this, as we said, looking good for a podium place, and he's actually looking good for second place as well, with the Resi's drive-through, and possibly even first place, now that I think of it, considering that Nervo is under investigation, as we just said. And it's now been confirmed that Nervo has got a drive-through for speeding in the pit lane. So I am now hearing that he did actually overspeed into the pit lane himself. It was no fault of the game from his point of view. And that is very dramatic news for the championship leader. And now this is Aresi coming into the pit lane again, and I really, really hope that the game doesn't give him another drive-through for speeding in the pits. Slows down nice and early, and no, he doesn't get a drive-through this time. So that is quite frankly bizarre. And out of all of this, Alex is now leading the race, Big C is now second, and RBOS is now P3.
After Singapore, I thought one man could only get so much luck, but Alex has somehow done it again. From P19 on the grid, he is now currently in first. And surely his only challenger now could possibly be RBOS, who's on a very good set of fresh softs. But Alex on a relatively good set of mediums. He took his hards around about lap 17, I think. So the mediums will make it to the end of the race, no problem whatsoever. Nervo Tank, he's so far behind. You've got to remember that Nervo had only emerged maybe 2 or 3 seconds ahead of Alex. So to then drop a whole entire sort of pit stop, passing through the pit lane, he's going to have lost 20. Well, I can't work out what it says actually in the top left there, but I would guess around 15 to 18 seconds. So disastrous news for the Renault driver. Emerges out in P6 in a race that he was frankly dominating. Apart from Aresi, who looked at a very good similar pace as well. But Nervo was doing a very good drive, and it's all been taken away from him due to, well, a poor mistake from him, and I feel even worse for Aresi, who's been robbed by the game. But nevertheless, into the final corner, they come on board with Clarkey, who's currently in P7. I'm not seeing a lot from him, apart from being taken out on lap 1, and he's able to stretch out his hards a long way. He is looking good for some solid points, it's definitely fair to say, and a very good recovery drive from the McLaren as he heads into turn 1 with Nervo Tank ahead in P6, and trying to work out on the minimap how many cars he could possibly pass towards the end of this race. But we are on lap 24 now, so once we get to the end of this, it's going to be 4 laps to go. And on board with GR Demon, who is currently in P4, and I may have said it wrong actually earlier in the race, because is Big C also on the one-stop strategy?
Yeah, Big C is on the one-stop as well. He started on the mediums, pitted on lap 11, so and that's how he's ended up in second place. So definitely looks like, oh, speaking of them, Big C's now trying to defend from RBOS, who has done a great job. His strategy's worked out quite well for him, doing hard, soft, soft. So he's very much on to the back of the Williams now, who's obviously on a massive high from a podium place in Singapore, and he's going to lose second place this time out to RBOS, who's up the inside once again, the second to last corner. But now RBOS is going to really have to defend from Big C down in towards the last corner, but with the DRS, Big C is not that close enough, and RBOS has that benefit down the pit straight as well. So that is looks like it's all over for second place. But yeah, on board with Big Shot, who's on a set of softs as well, so he's recovered quite well from that first lap. Well, not first lap, a couple of laps in, he got his front wing damage and pitted around about lap 5. So he's recovered well as well, and he's got Nervo to worry about as well. So the gap between Alex and Nervo in the championship was 8 points going into this race, with Nervo obviously being in the lead, and with Nervo down in 6th, with Nervo down in 6th place at the moment. Obviously there's still 4 laps to go, including this one. That will put Alex in the championship lead for the first time, I believe, since Australia, which is pretty much obviously the race that he won. So it's pretty amazing that he's not led the championship since. But now it's well, obviously a lot can still happen. It's unlikely to happen anything to Alex, but Alex's biggest challenger, as Dan has already said, will be RBOS come the end of the race, although his tyres will start to drop off. And these 3 cars of GR Demon, Big Shot and Nervo Tank all look like they're converging on one another, and look like they're catching up to Big C as well. And Big Shot is right up behind GR Demon into the second to last corner, and takes a wider line, which means with his better tyre life as well, and better compound of tyre, he's going to have a great run towards the last corner, and going to go around the outside of GR Demon into the last corner. GR Demon trying to fight it, but hasn't got the grip to fight back, and he is now down to 5th place and has to try and hold off Nervo as well, who's going to go up the inside straight away in towards turn 1. And without the DRS help, GR Demon is pretty much a sitting duck down the pit straight, and that is Nervo and Big Shot both up into 4th and 5th place.
Yeah, and they'll be looking to hunt after Big C, but I think this also will allow teams to also keep up the get behind the roadblock that could be the Williams driver in the last couple of laps. On board now Clarkey, who's coming under pressure from Aresi as we're heading towards turn 4, and the Ferrari driver is taking absolutely no nonsense, goes up the inside, but Clarkey very well hangs it round the outside of turn 4. Gets a little bit of oversteer though, and that's going to force them to be side by side through turn 5 and turn 6. That's a brilliant move from the Ferrari driver. Obviously he's got a lot more grip, but that's a very impressive move to hang it round the outside there, to have the confidence in your car, and that is a beautiful move. And back to Big Shot, who's currently in P4, and look at the tyre wear he's currently experiencing. He's going to struggle to take those tyres to the end of the race. Nervo's up the inside, the side by side, and they're both in the gravel. That allows the Force India to go back through. Nervo's completely lost it. Big Shot is into P5 again. Surely wrecked his tyres by doing that even more. And an unbelievable another twist in this championship as Nervo has charged up the inside of the Ferrari and it's worked out horribly.
Yeah, you said Nervo lost it. I think he lost it in terms of driving his car and lost it mentally as well. I think he's quite flustered that he got that drive through and looked like, well, he was frankly very, very impatient in trying to get past Big Shot. All he had to do was wait, and he couldn't do that. He had to dive down the inside of Big Shot and take Big Shot off the road along with him and put both of them in the gravel. And as you said, he's put a lot of tyre wear and stress through Big Shot's tyres, and I do not see Big Shot getting to the end of that race, getting to the end of this race without a puncture. And that's worked out brilliantly for Demon, as he is well up the road now and in 4th place, and might well keep that with these two continuing to battle, because I don't imagine that Big Shot will be too impressed with Nervo's antics.
No, and I don't think Big Shot's got the tyres at this stage in the race to catch back up to the Force India driver. As Nervo takes a very interesting line through that double apex right-hander. Now down in towards the hairpin. The Renault driver up the inside. Can he get this move done cleanly? No, they find tyres once again. The Ferrari driver hangs on. This allows Resi to catch up to both of them. And Nervo tank up the inside once again. Goes in deep. Blocks off the Ferrari driver. I mean, I wouldn't call that dirty, but it's very, very aggressive. And Big Shot in has also lost a position to his teammate. But as they go round the penultimate corner, as Resi tries to find some traction, oversteering everywhere. But will now have, well, he's got DRS and will surely have an opportunity down into turn 1.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of frustration in that cockpit at the moment of Nervo, because that's not really an overtaking spot into turn 11 like that, and it's yeah, I don't think that will play too well in Big Shot's mind, obviously as an AOR veteran himself. So he kind of likes well, as everyone here does that loves racing, but I think that was over the limit that Nervo kind of overstepped the mark there and was quite, as Dan said, aggressive to say the least. But now Nervo's got to try and fend off Resi, and I don't think either of these two drivers are thinking right at the moment, but I would imagine that Resi's a lot more calmer at this stage in the race than what Nervo is, as you can kind of see in Nervo's driving how frustrated he is at how this race has gone. And Resi's slowing. I think he's got a puncture. Resi's yeah, he has left rear puncture for the Ferrari driver, as if his day couldn't get any worse. And now that's gonna that might put him well out of the points actually. So from looking a great position to try and win at the start of this race, he's now looking to try and not get any points at all, as Big C's trying to cover off GR Dimon. Actually runs wide through the second to last corner. Meanwhile, on board with Alex, who is from P19 on the grid, going to win this race, and that is quite frankly bizarre. And he now is the first and only driver this season to take 3 wins in a row, which is a pretty amazing stat in itself. And GR Demon is not going to be close enough to fend off Big C, and we'll have to see as it goes over the line. No, actually, it's Demon who gets that 3rd place. Big C must have had a penalty, and Big Shot somehow survives to take P6 in the end, and now that is no, he's dropped down to 7th. My apologies. And this is argy-bargy between the two Sauber teammates. They're still banging wheels, and which driver is it going to be to try and take that last point? It's going to be NBA Rubin as they go over the line. Jonas had a penalty, and is Resi crawling over the line with that puncture, but that he got with half a lap to go. So that's bitterly disappointing for the Ferrari driver. A lot of changes over the line there. Clarkey got ahead of Big Shot, who somehow managed to survive with those tyres, and Kelp has ended up in 13th. I'm pretty sure he was in the points at some stage. How has he ended up in 13th? I hope. I think.
Yeah, we must see a replay of that, because when Aresi got his puncture, there was definitely a man going past, and it wasn't Theo, because Theo had retired.
Oh.
We've got Ali K. Oh my God, he's gone into the back of Nummer, and if you thought your race couldn't get any worse, it just has for the McLaren driver. Not a great day for him. I think he got involved in a very early incident and was well behind after lap 1. And that should be an unfortunate day for the McLaren driver. But now I've got some replays. As on lap 25, this is Ali K battling with X-Men Madness, and X-Men Madness goes for a spin. A bit quite ambitious for the Red Bull driver, trying to hang it up the inside of here. So this is on board of GR Demon. This Nervo tank up the inside of Big Shot, and that is also the unfortunate contact model on this game.
Yeah.
That falls on both off the track. It's worth noting that. But yeah, Nervo just left no space. That's also a very aggressive one where Big Shot was wise to it and left space that time. And then this is Aresi getting his puncture. That's just really unfortunate. By the looks of it, his tyre wear must have been around about 70% on his rear left. And if you looked at Big Shots, his was in mid-80s. And then Big Colt has gone straight on at that corner.
On the last lap.
Clearly been some technical issues there for the Manor driver, because he's literally not braked or anything. So something has gone horribly wrong.
Yeah, I'm just hearing in my ear that Big Shot, not Big Shot, B Colt, sorry, had lost his wheel, had disconnected, so it didn't register on the screen, so his car just went flat out straight into the gravel trap. So his wheel decided that it would have other ideas than trying to score points this afternoon, and couldn't make the last half of the lap. And that results then in Alex somehow taking another win this season. He has now tied with Nervo for most wins this season. They've both got 6 apiece, and RBS comes home in second place. A great podium for him. He had great pace throughout the race, and GR Demon then collects another podium to add to his one that he got in China. Big C in 4th place, and with a penalty, so he doesn't get his second successive podium. Nervo ends up in 5th place. Clarkey coming home in 6th in all of that after that first lap crash, and a great drive from him to recover 8 points. Big Shot ends up in 7th place, and Jeremy comes home in 8th. Then it's Jake who gets 2 points in the Toro Rosso in 9th place, followed by NBA Rubin as his teammate got a penalty. Aresi in 12th place with a last lap puncture. Biko in 13th with his technical problems with his wheel in the last half of the lap, just sailing off into the gravel trap. Dan the Snake in 14th place. Didn't see much of him throughout that race, but come home in 14th. Beamy in 15th after his first lap blunder. Then it's Nummer in 16th, followed by Ali in 17th, and then Mayhem Madness and Theo, who had a crash on the second to last lap. And then the 2 reserves of Super Scrub and Sean both retiring earlier on in the race. So as we've said then, Alex now takes the lead of the championship by 7 points. Aresi was unable to close down the gap to Thorn, who was absent from the race. Big Shot and RBS both move ahead of Ali, and Clarkey and Theo both stay where they are. Big C now moves ahead of Dan, despite them being both tied on points, but with Big C's podium in Singapore, he is ahead. Demon with his podium moves ahead of Jonas, and NBA Rubin, both the Salvers, tied on points in 15th and 16th. And it's Mayhem Madness in 17th, followed by Biko, Beamy, Nama and Jake.
In the Constructors' Championship, Renault still maintain their lead, a sizable gap now, and they'll surely wrap that up with a couple of rounds to go. Red Bull looked pretty good in P2, 15 points ahead of Haas, who moved above Ferrari today as the Italian team moved down to 4th. McLaren looked very good in 5th, with Force India now 20 points ahead of Manor in the battle for 6th. Williams are 8th, closing up on Manor as they overtook Mercedes today. Mercedes moving down to 9th. Sauber currently in 10th, and Toro so getting more points today, but they still remain 11th.
Okay, so now it is time for the interviews, and today with us we have got GR Demon, who managed to score his second podium of the season. How does it feel to secure such a strong result?
Well, I have to say it feels pretty awesome actually. I always knew that I had the pace going into Malaysia, but it's one thing having the pace and then actually doing it, which is very difficult for me normally, as we've seen in Russia, Spa, Bahrain. Anything can happen, and it's normally my fault if we're being honest. So it's nice to get it all cleanly wrapped up and do it on pace for a change, unlike in China where I relied on their tactical bottle job, as it was known, with the tyre wear glitch. And yeah, to do it in Qualy as well was unusual, being on provisional pole, I think. Yeah, I'm very happy about that, and especially with my god-awful tyre wear, having to do a hard, soft, hard strategy, which was well, said by Brandon to not get you any points if there would be anyone doing that this race, so good all round really.
With the strategy being wide open today due to the wet qualifying, do you feel you got the best out of the strategy, or could you possibly have done something different?
Yeah, as I said, the hard, soft, hard strategy was not ideal, but I decided to go with the pace rather than tyre saving because I felt I had actual good pace for a change. So, and I better make use of it. So I still think I should have done hard, soft, soft. Really, I don't think that was too hard for me, but I don't know. It just didn't. My tyre wear wasn't as good in the lobby, so I had to do what I had to do. I didn't have another set of mediums, which would have been better at the end, but it didn't cost me too much in the end. Probably second place was realistic if I had better tyre wear, but well, oh well.
You're now 20 points clear of Mana in the Constructors with 5 rounds to go. Do you feel comfortable you can hold them off?
I think 20 points is a pretty significant gap, and with the tyre wear glitch gone, there should be fairly less unusual circumstances, really, like we saw at Austria, for unusual high point scoring. So I think 20 points should be able to see off Mana in the Constructors. And yeah, I think we should do that pretty easily, and yeah, just extend the gap and mainly focus on the drivers now, really, because I think that's pretty much in the bag.
And next up with us, we've got Nummer, who got off to an absolute flying start, but sadly had a race-ruining incident on the exit of Turn 4. Take us through that opening sequence.
Well, I think I had an okay getaway. Was more aggressive when the other drivers into Turn 1. Tried to stick to the inside, passed a few cars, tried to stick on the inside into Turn 2 as well. Got a good exit. I think one Mercedes got off the track, which was a free position. And yeah, at Turn 4, I think Qualy got a bit wide. So I had a better exit than him. But then I turned a bit too much to the left, and yeah, ended mine and Qualy's race there.
Again, you managed to out-qualify your teammate, but he was the one finishing in the points today. How frustrating are races like today, given that points are so hard to come by due to the competitiveness of the field outside of the top few drivers?
It's very frustrating. I think my teammate is not really taking the focus to the qualifying. I try this to do as well. But if you do one little or even a bit bigger mistake in the race, you have lost completely the chance of points, because especially the midfield is so close together. So it's pretty much impossible to take good points if you make dumb mistakes like I do.
Thanks to the last 2 races, Williams have worked their way back into a fight with Mana, now for 7th in the Constructors. With 5 races remaining, how many more opportunities do you see left to pull back the deficit?
I think we have both in every race a chance to collect some points. But obviously the Mana guys has the chance too. I think B-Cold has a lot of bad luck to this point in the season. But I'm confident that we can take some more points than them and hopefully pass them in the championship.
Alright, that's it for the interviews then, and that is it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you next time out for Japan. See you there, have a good day, and goodbye.